Hello, my friend. I am so glad that you are here, whether this is your first time or you're back for more. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And I love that you have clicked on this episode because what it tells me is that you've probably fallen off of your plan, but you're ready to get back on. And I just want to welcome you to the table here because we all fall off our plan because life happens. Life happens and we're thrown off, and there's just no way to avoid that. So welcoming that in and just saying like, oh, this is part of the process is so important. And most of us tend to get to the point where we say, is it even worth creating plans anymore? And there is beauty in creating a plan. You just need to hold it loosely because you are going to be thrown off. But if you can create the plan, it allows you to get back on easier. So don't abandon the idea of creating plans just because you know that they don't work in terms of 100%. They do help you get back on track. So this is how you can get back on track. And I'm excited to dig in and look at this today. So first we need to think about, why do we fall off our plan? Why do we feel like we're off track? And I've really boiled it down into 3 reasons based on my experiences as well as all of my experiences with my clients. The first is you actually don't have a plan to begin with. You have a lot of ideas and you're certainly busy all the time, but you really don't have a plan and a focus. Like that. So you're really not falling off. You're just not even on it, but you feel like you're off track. So I'm not trying to take away the feeling. That's why you're here, but you really didn't have a plan. If you're being honest with yourself, you didn't really have a plan to begin with. The second is you have too many plans. You have so many ideas and you have plans for all of them, but you're feeling so scattered because you're trying to do all of the things at once and you're not seeing progress with any of them. So 1, you don't have a plan. 2, you have too many plans. And 3, you actually were thrown off your plan when you had a true focus. So those are the 3 we're going to tackle because yes, the third one is why you're here, but you may fall into these other categories and you need to really recognize those moments too. So the first is not really having a plan or having a focus. You, my friend, are a dreamer. And I love this about you. You have so many ideas. You have beautiful ideas. So many. And you dream about them and talk about them and it's amazing. But it's also causing you immense frustration because you're working, but not making meaningful progress. And so it's just time to recognize, okay, I have a lot of plans or I have a lot of ideas, but I don't really have a plan for any of them. And so for you, I want you to choose a focus for now. And I want to be very clear that I'm not trying to put you in a box forever. It's just for now. For now, what is important to you? What do you want to be doing? What do you want to focus on? And in order to see progress, you need to have a focus. Again, not forever. I just need you to focus on, look at the next 90 days. What do you want to do? If I were to fast forward the tapes, 90 days from now, and you're like, I am pumped that I saw progress, what would it be? What would it be? So for you, because you have a lot of ideas, answering that one question is really hard. So I'm going to give you actions to take to get out of this cycle of having so much ideas and busyness, but not actually making progress. So the first thing I want you to do is write down everything. Not just all the ideas you have, but I want you to write down, why is it important to you? Why is that a fun idea that you want to tackle? What emotion do you feel about that idea? I want you to really think about, if I were to choose this idea, how would it change my life? Write down anything and all the things that you can think about. Writing is so powerful. There was actually a study done at the University of Michigan that found that participants who wrote about decisions they were making, so it wasn't just about goals or anything, it was about decisions that they were making. If they wrote about the decisions before making them, they were more confident about the decisions they made and made less biased decisions. How wonderful is that? So I just want you to write. You're probably really good at that. Nothing has to be perfect. You don't have to share with anyone. I just want you to write down the idea, why it's important to you, anything that comes up around it, and then choose one. Choose one for the next 90 days and think, okay, everything else is going to be on the shelf for 90 days and I'm going to focus on this one thing. And then you'll be able to see progress once you do that. Then once you understand the thing that you want to do for the next 90 days, you're like, yes, Amanda, this is really important to me. I want to focus on it. In order to create the plan that's realistic for your specific life, because yours is different than mine, I cannot give you the plan based on my life. Based on your life, you need to understand your capacity. Now, capacity is comprised of several things, time being one of them. And I have a free resource for you. It's a capacity calculator. It's super helpful because chances are you are overcommitting yourself and you don't even know how much time you can give to this specific focus. And we need to figure out how much time you can actually give to it. Not in general. So if you're here listening about growing your business or maybe even scaling down your business, whatever the case is, it's not the overall time you're working. It's the time you can dedicate to a very specific goal. So if you want to grow your email list, how much time in your working day can you give to this? How much time in the week can you give to it? I like to look at weeks. So really understanding that, you can go to amandamckinney.com calculator and get access for free and use it as much as you want. Use it, use it, use it. I love it. And it's so helpful. I've heard wonderful things about it. And I just thank you for telling me the success stories because it's just so fun. So that is the first one. The first one was you didn't have a plan at all. You didn't really have a focus. So we have to create that. So that's when you're going to figure out what you're going to focus on and actually look at your capacity. The second is you have so many plans. You have so many ideas and plans for those ideas. You have notebooks, calendars, digital documents full of plans. This is not your problem, my friend. Planning is not your problem. You actually love planning. You love it. Color coding things, your jam. That's what you love, but you're trying to do too much at once. I want you to think about something very specifically. If you're driving, I don't want you to actually do the action. Just visualize this without shutting your eyes, of course. But I want you to think about putting your hands out. And if you're not driving, do this. Like put your hands out and look at them. Actually look at your hands. And I want you to pretend that I'm standing in front of you and I hand you a notebook and you take it in one hand. And then I hand you a cup filled with water and you take it in the other hand. And then I hand you a pen. And you take the notebook hand that you've got and you grab that pen and it's really starting to get hard, but you've got it. You've got those three things. And then I go to hand you your phone because your phone was on the table and I hand you the phone and you look at me like, how in the world do you think I can hold this, Amanda? Why are you handing this to me? This is what is happening in your brain. Our brain, based on a research study that was done, says that our working memory can only hold around 3 to 4 things effectively, just like how much we can hold in our hands. So if you think about this, you're really trying to not just like carry all this. It's like carrying all the groceries in from your car. I don't know if you're a one-trip wonder like myself, but I try real hard to do that. And it's stupid. The chances of those bags breaking is pretty dang high. But yet, here I am. I do it all the time. When I could just get more steps in and do multiple trips. But we don't want to do that when you're trying to achieve something. When you're trying to achieve something, you want to see the progress because otherwise you're going to feel unfulfilled. And so if that felt like you with your goals and your focus and you've created all the plans, but you're like trying to carry them all, it's impossible. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about your day in terms of time and really looking at this of, we've got a few different buckets. Now you have to take what works for you and yours is going to look different than mine. I cannot say this enough. Like do not, if you hear something and you're like, well, that doesn't work for me. Well, then it won't for sure. But please catch that thought and say, how can it work for me? Because it can. And I promise you that it can, but you have to be open to figuring this out. Roughly speaking, we're going to take those 3 to 4 buckets, right? 3 to 4 things in our hands. Yourself is very important. We need to focus on yourself. If you are not fulfilled in your life, if you are not healthy in all capacities, you cannot do anything else. Like that is important. So yourself is one bucket, very important. Second is your life, your family, other people. Like all of those things, also important. So that's another bucket. Then your work is another one that's really important because we have to pay for things in our life. And so whether you're working for yourself or you're working for other people, it does not matter. We have to do work in our lives. And you wouldn't be here otherwise. If you weren't trying to achieve amazing things, then most likely financial goals in your life. So those are the 3. Now there's an optional one that's like something new, something fun you're trying to do. And you're like, I don't know where that fits. So there could be 4. But remember, that's like me handing you your phone, right? We got to juggle that a little bit more. So I want you to think about those and then think about your life in terms of a 24-hour period of a day. Not every day is the same. I recognize that. But for the sake of this example, I want you to think about a normal, quote unquote, normal day. Think about that in terms of 24 hours. And we're going to break this down very strategically using math and very generically. So you're going to make a change based on your life, but we're going to break this down. This was actually something brought to my attention back on my first podcast. And someone talked about the 8+8+8 formula. And I can't remember who she gave credit to, but shout out to Pia for sharing this with me a long time ago. And so she said this 8+8+8 formula is like breaking your day down in sections of 8. 8 meaning like hopefully you're sleeping during that time. And then you have 16 other hours that are in your wake time. And you've got yourself, your family, your life, and then work. And again, this is very generic. I do not want anyone to be like, oh, that doesn't work for me. Take it from there and then apply it. Adjust those numbers to your specific life. This might seem a little cumbersome, but it's going to open your eyes to what you're trying to cram into these buckets and why you're so freaking frustrated that you can't make progress, because chances are you are very overcommitted. And so I just want you to see this and break it down. Maybe you don't sleep 8 hours a night, but I hope you have 8 hours of some type of rest. That could include your nighttime routine, your morning routine, your meditation, your prayer, your visualization, your exercise. Like that rejuvenation time is hopefully in that 8-hour time frame. You may have more like 10. Some people that exercise a lot have more in that time frame because that is so important to them. And so when you identify what your 8+8+8 version is, so maybe your buckets are a little bit different, then I want you to try and fit in something new. Like if you have the new project that you want to fit in, you have to ask yourself which bucket can lessen so that I can either put it in that specific bucket or create a fourth bucket. Because that is when you're like, oh, this is starting to get a little bit more difficult. But the reason I'm saying this is because you're trying to shove too many things in your day, and that's why you're getting so dang frustrated. So let's be realistic with your capacity. Again, go back to that free tool that I have on my website at amandamckinney.com. It will help you with this. It will help you understand how much time you can actually dedicate to a new thing. For example, I wanted to learn how to knit. I am learning. It's very exciting this year. And so that is part of my personal time. Now, it doesn't happen every day. I do not knit every single day, but I knit more on the weekends because I have more time. I'm not working on those during those times, so I have more free time, more creative time, so I'm able to fit it in. Or I do it at night when my husband and I are watching a show or something and I'm knitting over there and loving it, like having so much fun doing it. And so I had to fit that in. But let's say I want to grow my email list, which I always do, right? I need to think about how does that fit into my work time? Those work hours that I already have dedicated. Chances are I'm going to have to stop doing something else or do something else less in order to prioritize partnerships and swaps, because I grow my email list the best by partnering with other people. And so that takes time and energy to build those relationships and to have that time on my calendar. And so I have to give on something else, but I have to figure out how am I going to make this work within the time constraints that I have. You have to do the same thing. So while your numbers may be different than mine, they certainly will be because everyone's life is different, the process can be the same. And just remember that we make a lot of decisions in a day. I found a study that says that we make between 33 and 35,000 decisions a day. So this decision that I'm asking you to make right now, please make this in the morning. Please do not wait until an evening to decide based on all of your ideas, which one you're going to pick, because you're going to have decision fatigue by the end of the day. So that's just a pro tip here. Make this decision in the morning, but you can make the list right now. So like if you are in that space of needing to pick something, I want you to, really write down what you're looking at and what you want to focus on, and then making the decision of how am I going to move forward, or doing the math equation of the 8+8+8, whatever your numbers are. Doing this in the morning is going to be helpful. Whatever morning is to you, it doesn't have to mean 5 a.m. It just means before you get to the decision fatigue of the evening. So the third and final one of when you're actually thrown off. So this is what you came here for. You're like, finally. But chances are some of you really fell into the first two. But when life throws you off, because like I said, all plans are great, but they never go according to plan. Life throws you off. Maybe it's a sick kid. Maybe you got sick. Maybe the car broke down. Your friend needed support. The weather impacted you. There's a national crisis that really took your emotions and your attention. Maybe you're on your period and you feel like crap. Maybe you woke up on the wrong side of the bed and just don't feel like doing things today. And so you were like, I need to take a day. all of a sudden you're thrown off your plan. It does not matter why. It just matters that you were thrown off. First thing, remember you did the hard part. You created a focus and a plan that will help you get back on track now that you've been thrown off. I also want you to remember the mantra, miss it and move on. This is something that I was told many years ago, and oh my gosh, it means so much to me. My friend Megan told me this phrase, and I swear I say it every day. Miss it and move on. If not every day, at least once a week, I'm saying this to myself because something always goes off, like messes up, whether it's with my exercise, my nutrition, my business, my relationships, like whatever it is, it's like miss it and move on. Because if you can do that, you can get back on track quicker. So just remember that. And then I want you to really shift your focus of a long to-do list versus a to-day list. This is something I've definitely talked about before. So if you're a long-time listener, you know what I'm saying. But instead of having a long list, just a running long list of things to do, think about what you can do each day at a time. I know this feels cumbersome to a lot of people who are like, that's not how I operate, Amanda. I get it, but chances are you're getting thrown off. So let's try and figure out some way of breaking this down into smaller chunks because a long list is overwhelming, especially if you're thrown off. So look at it and ask yourself right now, if you are in the moment that you are actually thrown off and you're like, I came to this podcast episode for this, I want you to sit down and ask yourself, what can I do in the next 10 minutes to get the momentum back? Because if you really want the thing, what can you do in 10 minutes? You'll get the momentum back. Once you do the thing, I want you to actually pause this and actually do the dang thing. Do the thing that you just wrote down. Once you do that, then I want you to look at tomorrow, look at your realistic capacity of how much time you can actually dedicate to this thing and say, what can I do tomorrow? There should be 1 to 3 things max listed. Now, your to-do list for the day, like your today list for tomorrow, is actually going to be much longer. You're going to do things all day. I'm not saying you're going to do 2 things and then sit on the couch all day. I'm saying for that specific focus, what are 1 to 3 things you can do? And if you can do that in all of your buckets, you're going to have a full day and you'll feel fulfilled. So I want you to do that. And then I want you to repeat this process. You can do this once a day or you can do it once a week. But I want to go back to that decision fatigue. Please, please, please do this in the morning. Do not do this at the end of the day. It's terrible. The only caveat I will give to that is if you're a person that tends to work well under that pressure and it will not spiral you with decision fatigue, you can say, okay, I'm at the end of my day, and you can test this and say, can I actually identify the 1 to 3 things for tomorrow because I have no bandwidth left and I can just make a decision really fast? If that's the case, use that to your advantage because it is helpful for those of you who fall into that bucket of like, actually, I make better decisions when I have that decision fatigue towards the end of the day. But then you have to do it the next day. Like, just make sure if you're following through, then it's working. If you make the decision but don't do it, it's not working for you. So we got to figure out a new process for you. But just being realistic about your capacity and following this process of identifying, okay, this is my focus. I missed it and move on. I'm going to focus on this today and then this tomorrow and this the next day. Repeating this process is going to be helpful because if you can actually follow through and do the thing you said you were going to do, those 1 to 3 things per day, 70% of the time, you will be astounded at the progress that you can make. But if you're always scattered and you waste a week because you got off track for 1 day, you're not going to see the progress. It's okay if you were thrown off for a week, but get back on. Just get back on and miss it and move on. So that's your accountable action for today. Get your butt unstuck by taking action. That's what we want you to do. Identify the steps and then actually take them. Especially if you're the type that loves to plan. Do not plan yourself into a lack of progress. You have to take action. It's the only way to see progress in your life is by actually doing it. So think about whichever of those buckets, whether you don't have a plan at all, if you have too many plans and you need to focus on one, or you actually had a focus and a plan, but you got thrown off. Identify which one and then take the action related to that one. And remember that if you're continuing to feel stuck around something, but you really, really want to do that thing, chances are you need more support or Well, I would say you need more support if you're in that bucket. If you are not seeing progress and you actually don't care about that focus anymore, let it go. Let it go. It's okay for goals and for focus to change and for you to decide to move to something else. Like, permission granted. Change your focus, change your goal. That's fine. But if you're finding yourself stuck and you are continually finding yourself stuck, my dear friend, get the support you need. Find an accountability buddy or hire a coach. I would love to talk to you if I feel like a good one. Find someone to support you, because there is no shame in getting support. It is hard. Whatever you're trying to do is hard. So it's okay if you need an extra layer of support right now, because this season of life is probably pretty challenging. So give yourself that grace and see how you can get the support that you need, because I promise you, when you follow this process, miss it, move on, and get back on track, it's amazing what you can do. When you have that focus and you stay focused over a long period of time, it's remarkable. And you don't have to have 100%. All you need is 70% and you'll be amazed. So I want you to take action and enjoy missing it and moving on so that you can get back on track. Have a great rest of your day. Be sure to take action and keep being accountable.